Ready for a guitar show?
Ready. Hello everyone, my name is Alex. I am the owner and curator of A Flash Full of Gear. We have been fortunately noticing that a bunch of new people have been checking out the channel lately, which we really appreciate it. Welcome to any new viewers that have checked us out. For those of you who don't know a lot about us, or maybe even some of our older subscribers, we wanted to do a video today just kind of giving some more insight into who we are and what we do and what we're up to right now. We are based in Winter Park, Florida, which is kind of a part of Orlando, Florida, or the greater Orlando area. And we are a totally online-based shop. All of our orders and stuff all come through the website. We're not a brick and mortar store. We do all of our selling either through our website at aflashfulofgear.com or Reverb or any of the other platforms we sell on, as well as we do some guitar shows here and there, which is kind of the best way to do something in person, as we don't really have any in-person options right now. We're just doing online sales, which is kind of what brings us to where we are today. We are in Asheville, North Carolina today. We are getting ready for the Carolina Guitar Show, which starts tomorrow. These are really fun because, like I said, since we're online, it's great to have some in-person time, and that's something that we get to do with these guitar shows. A Flash Full of Gear has definitely scaled up quite a bit in the last 5 years. My background was kind of more in playing music, doing like smaller tours and stuff, both playing with my band Secret Keeper, playing with my band Conversation Piece, as well as doing some touring as a guitar tech as well, which I really enjoy doing all those things. So I was kind of used to traveling for business, for lack of a better term. And as Flash Flood started to grow, what made sense was just to start traveling with the shop and getting in-person time all over the country.
Just like loading out for tour.
Yeah, if you're, I was gonna say Slipknot, but Slipknot, even Slipknot doesn't touch the amount of guitars we're bringing with us.
But you know what we need to not forget?
What do we,
These spare gig bags.
Did we get guitar picks this time?
Yeah.
Cool.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Back in 2020, my band Secret Keeper was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to go play some shows in Japan. It was our first time going, and we made a lot of great friends, and also got to see a lot of really cool guitars while we were there, which was not necessarily expected. That really inspired us that, like, hey, there's more out there than just what we have in Florida. You know, we started being able to make connections in Japan, and then we came back, and at the time it was 2020, so there wasn't really guitar shows happening, but within about a year, a lot of guitar shows around the country started happening here. Started with doing our local Orlando guitar show, and then branched out and did the Dallas, Texas guitar show, as well as a few of the others around the country. We've been fortunate enough to kind of hit cities all over the place since then and make a lot of cool connections, find some cool gear, and it's something we still really enjoy doing. It kind of just felt like the next obvious step from what we were already doing with playing music and then kind of doing the online thing with the shop. As Flashfoot has started to travel more, one of the coolest benefits has definitely been that we've had the opportunity to play in a lot of the places that we've been going to. 2023, we went out to do the Bay Area Guitar Show and Southern California guitar shows in California. And Conversation Piece was able to play a really cool gig in Fullerton, California, which was awesome. To just kind of jump onto that on the other side of the country and have it not be part of like a bigger tour. Or I know last summer, or I guess spring, we were at the Dallas Guitar Show and Secret Keeper was able to play some shows out in Texas. It's not to say we don't normally do that where we just go travel and play shows, but the guitar shows and kind of Flash Flood being able to travel allows us to just do like a small handful of shows in a certain area that maybe we wouldn't be able to go to otherwise. As like with California, if we want to do that on a typical run, we'd have to route all the way out there and all the way back, which we have done, which we're very fortunate to have done, but it's a lot cooler to just kind of go play a few shows while we're doing other stuff. And that's one of the coolest parts about getting to travel, is kind of getting to do it all at once and getting to play shows, getting to do what we do with the shop and buy and sell guitars and do all that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How much longer?
Got about 4.5 hours until we reach our destination of Sierra Nevada Tap Room, or more accurately, or vaguely Fletcher, North Carolina. If you guys at home don't know, Alex and Kaylee will be beating us there. We'll meet up with them maybe, but there's beer in the future. I could be misremembering, potentially Canadian at some point.
One of the ways that Flashfoot kind of started was from buying gear that I was going to use, like to do music with, obviously. As we all do, you know, you're buying and selling and trading stuff around. It went from like trying to get the gear that I wanted for myself to starting to curate like that sort of gear, but for the purpose of selling it. When I first started selling stuff under the Flashfoot Gear name, it literally was just like, I got this thing to try for myself. Now I'm using something else, so now I'm gonna sell the old thing. And I started to notice really quickly that whenever I was buying stuff that was like to my taste and stuff that I felt was a good value, stuff that was well made, stuff that I thought would last for years and that sort of thing, as well as being cool and from kind of the notable brands, things usually like went the right direction and people were always interested in those items. So I've kind of always stayed somewhat to that when curating inventory for the shop, even now, which we have like over 400 guitars in stock. Obviously, I'm not buying things with myself in mind so much anymore, but I try to just like trust my taste and know that like, if I think something is good, then I think a lot of other people will enjoy it. And at the end of the day, every single one of these items is unique. So there only needs to be, you know, one person that feels really strongly about that item in order for it to potentially find a new home. So obviously you want to find stuff that has a wide appeal, but yeah, I just always kind of try to curate to my taste and curate stuff that I think other people will really enjoy. As we've done more and more guitar shows, the purpose has kind of become more and more clear, which for us is really just to get in fresh inventory. And we do this by buying guitars at the show, whether from the public or whether from other dealers, as well as doing trades, once again, with the public or from other dealers. Most of these shows, the first day is just dealers, so you'll get a good chance with like not a ton of people around to hopefully work out some deals where you say, hey, I have a piece of inventory that's been sitting for a while and they have one that they haven't moved that I think I could move quicker. And you know, we'll swap around and do that or potentially buy stuff from each other. But I don't know how many people know this, but like we don't actually sell like that much through these shows. They really are just a chance to get fresh inventory. Our sales are really almost all online, which I think is really great. That does allow us to keep things to a certain like echelon as far as like customer service and like providing the experience we want. Selling online for us is a very controlled environment. It usually makes it the easiest for us to kind of present things that we want to present them and list things accurately, all that sort of stuff. So these shows are just kind of a good opportunity to maybe move through some stuff that hasn't moved online, but more importantly, with the goal of getting fresh stuff for online that you might not be able to find anywhere else. As I said, as of filming this, we're in Asheville, North Carolina for the Carolina Guitar Show. So technically that's our next show as it starts tomorrow. That will have passed by the time that you guys are seeing this video. So the next one that we'll be at is going to be the Nashville Guitar Show, and then followed by the Dallas Guitar Show in May. We're still figuring out our schedule for the later half of the year, but there's gonna be a show in Mesquite, Texas, as well as in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So those are potentially on the horizon as well. I think one of the coolest parts about curating inventory from these guitar shows is that it's just a totally different environment from the online marketplaces. There's totally different inventory. We're fortunate enough to have become friends with a bunch of dealers that run like in-person stores throughout the country. They might not sell online or maybe not in the capacity that we do, and we don't sell in person, so we kind of have different things that we're looking for. So one of the coolest things is you might go over to a friend's table and all of a sudden they have a guitar that like no one else has online, and I go, oh, we need to have that. And for them, maybe they've had it sitting in their store for 3 months, but just no one in their town was looking for that guitar. And so that's great for us because we can take that in and find a good home for it. And in the same way, maybe we have something that's a little more common that there's a ton of listed online that they go, I can't keep Sunburst Strats in stock or something. And so that's how things kind of tend to move around. One thing that I'm just looking for is stuff that there isn't a ton of available online. We want to offer something different that you probably can't find anywhere else. That's really important. Anytime we find stuff that is unique, but by the brands that we know and love, I try to curate that stuff. I know right now, like Fender doesn't have a ton of like vintage correct Jaguar reissues. So I'm always looking for good Jaguars, as there's just not a great option out there in the new market. So I want to find cool Jaguars that are used that have these vintage correct electronics and whatnot. That's just one example. There's obviously tons of stuff like that. That's kind of one of the coolest things with the shows, is just like, you know, you don't know what's out there. It's easy to go on Reverb every day and see what's out there, which, you know, I know we all do. Sometimes you'll be surprised what's not on the internet. So we try to find that stuff and bring it to the internet with any luck.
You got it all nicely packed.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna pull it, you know.
I was really good at Tetris as a kid.
As was Tom.
One's cool, Texas ones are cool. We're trying to kind of hone it in a little. It's also worth noting, like, you want to keep things fair, and like, you don't want to be a scalper. You don't want to be buying stuff up that somebody else might have wanted. Like I said, when you're finding stuff from shops that maybe wasn't selling otherwise, it's cool to take that stuff in, find that the right home. Obviously, we are a business. We do need to make money, so we do need to make sure that we're buying stuff for the right price and selling it for the right price, and providing, you know, great service and being able to, you know, pay my staff. That's obviously really important. That all comes into play, but you also want to be fair with everyone on every end. You don't want to be charging like an insane amount for your gear, and you also don't want to be paying out super little. So it's always just finding a balance where everyone is walking away happy and you're providing a good service for all the parties involved. I think my favorite part of running the shop and doing these shows and all that is still kind of the time we spend like outside of the shows. Getting to travel to these different areas, getting to spend time with everyone on my team is definitely like my favorite thing. So that's always really great, and I'm very grateful to be in a position to kind of get to do what we do and travel with my friends, and that's pretty fun. So, you know, it's always fun going out and getting nice dinners and hanging out and exploring new areas that sometimes we've never been before. Sometimes it's places like we're at now in Asheville where we've been 3 or 4 times and we have our spots that we really enjoy going back to. Maybe not directly business related, but that's definitely like my favorite part of doing all this, and it definitely makes it worth it. Here's a weird misconception that I've noticed that's like a difference between selling in person and online. We set up all of our guitars, everything that comes through. We spend a lot of time making sure that it's set up and playing correctly, playing the best it can. And if there's any imperfection with it, whether it's a cosmetic blemish or maybe there's a little bit of fret wear or something like that, we are super explicit with noting that in the listing. And that's just the way you have to do business. Most importantly, because that's the right thing to do. We're musicians, we want to treat people how we would want to be treated. But also from like kind of more of the business perspective, you don't want to be giving anyone a bad experience, and also you don't want to be dealing with a bunch of returns. So the best thing that you can do is to slightly under-promise and over-deliver, and to make sure that your stuff is listed accordingly. Where that differs from in person, I've noticed, is it's so often that we'll see a guitar in person that has all kinds of issues and the seller's like not disclosing it at all. So it's funny that a lot of people call going online like going into the unknown, which it definitely can be. But I've actually noticed like in-person stuff being more of like the Wild West than online. With online, you have the protection of the marketplace you're buying through and whatnot, and hopefully you're going through a reputable store and they have a reputation to uphold, they have policies to uphold, so usually you're very protected there. Whereas in person, a lot of times like these in-person deals are very as is. You know, that's really important for somebody who's buying guitar for themselves, but also important for us as a shop to know like anything that we're buying in person, you know, we're taking the risk on, and so we have to be really diligent about what we're taking in. We want to have great guitars that when somebody opens the box and starts playing, they love it. So we need to make sure that we are buying stuff that is of that quality to where it's not going to be a problem down the road. But yeah, I see a lot of stuff getting passed off in like the in-person world that is less than perfect and maybe not always disclosed. I will note a lot of times that's not like on purpose by the seller. A lot of times they don't know either, but it's just something I found interesting. I hope you guys have enjoyed this kind of inside look into how these shows work with what we do and like the bigger picture of what we're trying to do here at Flash for the Gear, which is just to provide you guys awesome guitars online and do some cool videos about it as well. We've been getting a ton of comments, especially from like new viewers asking like how these things work. Are we going to these shows to sell a bunch of stuff? Where are we getting the inventory from online? It's always so funny, like in the comments of the videos, we often get like, oh, like where are you selling these guitars? Where are they going? How are you buying so many guitars? And then on the opposite side, on the shop end, people are like, how do you have so much inventory? And it all ties together. It's all kind of part of a bigger picture. And I hope that this kind of helped talk about what that is a little bit more. So thank you guys for taking the time to hang out today. I hope there was something to take away from this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. It really helps us out. I hope that we see you in another video soon, or see you out in person at one of the shows. Bye.
Where did cousin go? Oh, there he is.